So I mentioned this 3 or 4 months ago. It's like, oh my gosh, it's like, we're not messing around at all. This is not messing around. And I thought of the theater industry just collapsing entirely and not recovering. And part of me thinks that it still can't. And of course, this is an interesting thing coming out that that basically everyone's kind of resting all of this on Tenet. And I had no idea that this would be something so important. And I did a review of the trailer back here, and I'll just post this right here. But it is something to really consider and think about, and considering what's going on here. So it's a very long article from the Washington Post, but if Tenet doesn't come out or doesn't succeed, every other company goes home, said a marketing executive from a rival studio who spoke on the condition of an anonymity because they were not authorized to speak to the news media. It's no movies until Christmas if that happens, if it doesn't succeed. So I think it won't succeed to the degree that they think it does or that Chris thinks it does, because you're dealing with what theaters will actually be open. Like, what theaters are actually still going to be in business at this point? There's all these other things that we have to consider. So I thought that was just a very interesting quote from an anonymous source, some competing studio exec or something there. But yeah, it's like they're literally scrambling for money now. It's like they were telling us we're all idiots and istas and phobes, and here we go. Fate of the summer movie season rests on the Christopher Nolan film, and I know that there's a lot of people have been talking about this, but hopefully I can bring something unique to the table here. And so they're pressing ahead with the release. So, and apparently, according to what I've read so far, Chris he's resting on this, making it release in August. Okay, so they moved it it was supposed to be in July. Continued fears either prompt Warner Brothers to delay Tenet or consumers to stay away, resulting in a flop. And so that's one of those other things. Everybody's terrified. They're terrified by the media because they watch CNN and all this other crap. Other studios that have been cautiously scheduling post Tenet releases pull their movies. The summer turns out to look just like spring. New entertainment means old Netflix shows, and going out is a euphemism for walking around the block. Like the spinning top at the end of Inception, even close observers don't know which way this could go. In some respects, opening this movie in July seems like a very smart move because the landscape is so wide open. And so, it could be a massive hit because everybody's just screaming to going out to the movies or something. But it's going to be interesting to see. This might be actually more interesting to see what happened with Rise of Skywalker, because that was such a letdown as far as everything. Even close observers don't know which way this could go. Apparently, this whole thing is attached to Wonder Woman. So Wonder Woman's success is riding on this as well, because Wonder Woman is scheduled for August, and so people are talking about that the possibilities of that Wonder Woman might just move to December, and then of course Tenet will just take the spot in that Wonder Woman's spot in there. And then Wonder Woman will just move to December. And I think that's more likely of what will happen. What does he say here? In some respects, opening this movie in July seems like a very smart move because the landscape is so wide open. Tenet, he and the others note, is ideally built to jolt customers back into moviegoing. It's an intriguing premise from one of the most financially successful filmmakers in history, opening in theaters with zero serious competition. Yeah, that's absolutely right. And that's why it might be like a ridiculous hit. At the same time, I think that if it is a hit at all, it'll be actually kind of a lackluster, because there are so many people who are just terrified. But then there are a lot of freaking crazy Nolan fans out there, so it's like you never know, man. It's a crazy thing to think about. Okay, there was something that was really important. They talked about 80% of the theaters needed to be open. Let's see. The studio Nolan and the other theater owners have also remained in close contact about the measures that can be taken to bring people safely into multiplexes. Everyone has been trying to pull toward the same goal, say those familiar with the conversations who were not authorized to speak about them publicly, support Tenet as a movie that reopens America. Yeah, reopening America. Unfortunately, an analyst note that there's a reason the reward is high. No other studio wants to go first. Yeah, they don't want to try it. So it's like, it's a safe gamble. I mean, it's a gamble, but it's like your hottest, it's like a royal flush that you're gambling with. Maybe you're gambling with a straight. We're going to get a pretty good idea of our prospects because there's a competitive movie that opens up 1 week before our film does. Disney chief told investors, Bob Chapek told investors on a conference call last week, sounding relieved as he described the plan for the company's Mulan. Okay, so that's right. But there's this whole controversy behind that thing. So that's actually not a good gauge to. That's not a good movie to gauge your success on, because that actually does have some serious baggage that we've heard about. We're going to get a pretty good idea of our process. Okay, so the industry is in recent weeks has been divided on what should be done. In Zoom meetings, virtual launches, and conference calls, the conversation has often turned to Tenet and whether Nolan is once again a visionary who can save Hollywood, or a man who has let his belief in theaters blind him to current realities. Yeah, it is one of those things where it's like it's a total gamble when you think about it. When this crisis passes, the need for collective human engagement, the need to live and love and laugh and cry together will be more powerful than ever, he wrote in his piece. We don't just owe it to the 150,000 workers of this great American industry to include them in those we help. We owe it to ourselves. We need what movies can offer us. Absolutely. If Tenet were to sputter because of the thing that shall not be named, it would squander an important opportunity for Warner Brothers, which spent as much as $200 million. Other studios have decided it's not worth the risk. Many theatrical releases this year continue to be pushed to 2021. So yeah, man, I don't think. I mean, part of me thinks it won't recover. I think that Tenet can even cause like a small spurt, but it's not going to get people to want to go to the theater again. I mean, people are good. I don't know. We'll see. It'll be interesting. There was something that was about the 80% of movie theaters. I just think it'll be funny to think about, like, okay, here we go. Operating screens at 20 to 30% to abide by social distancing rules, they say will be but guarantee losses. You're talking about business where many of us normally lose money 5 out of 7 days a week. Yeah, it's going to be hard to get people like in the theater if they're going to like mandate social distancing, and so you're sitting like 6 or 7 seats apart. You're forced to do that. How is that going to even generate a profit at that point? For this to have a chance to work, you need to make sure it has a lot of screens at each multiplex to get that many, because you're gonna have significant numbers reduced in every theater if they're gonna honor those stupid, distancing stuff. I'm trying to get to this 80%. There was something about an 80% of the theaters, but maybe I don't know where that is. So that's the big question: is like what theaters will actually open and gamble with him. It's like you're gonna have a lot of theaters who are gonna be like, I don't want to take the chance or something. I don't know. It's maybe they're just all gonna be on board. I don't know. Okay, and Wonder Woman 1984 is all part of this. They may be bumped to December. They may just stay with their original release date. That's the big thing with Wonder Woman 1984. They would postpone it until December if the studio decides to give its August 14th release date to Christopher Nolan. So that's where that was. It's like a domino effect. So if they decide to move to December, then Nolan might take the August date. Let's see. I think that's the main thing. So it's kind of crazy that this is happening. I do love going to the movie theater, and I will miss it if it dies. What are your thoughts? I hope this movie does well because I love Chris Nolan and it looks like an amazing film. Thanks so much for joining me. Appreciate you very much. Appreciate ya. Have a wonderful day.